You felt it long before you saw it. It was a change in the great silence, an itch in the back of your mind. You paused, a fork halfway to your mouth. Outside your window, the world continued its frantic pace. But something was fundamentally wrong. The quiet of space, a comfort you never knew you had, was gone. It was replaced by a deep and profound sense of being watched. Then came the shadow. It fell over your city at noon. It was not the shadow of a cloud. It was too sharp, too sudden, too complete. A perfect circle of darkness raced across the land. You ran outside, joining the crowds that spilled into the streets. Necks craned upward. Your breath caught in your throat. Above the thin veil of clouds was a shape, a form that did not belong. The great silence was over. A long forgotten age of solitude had ended. They arrived without a sound. No thunderous entry, no grand declaration. Their ships simply appeared in high orbit. They were objects of impossible geometry, perfect spheres and silent black pyramids. They hung against the velvet curtain of space like a warning. They were sterile things, devoid of art or passion. Their clean lines and perfect angles spoke of a single purpose, a purpose you could not yet comprehend. From their silent perches, they watched. Their instruments drank in the light of your world. They tasted your air. They listened to the cacophony of your lives. Their presence was a constant, unnerving weight. You would look at the moon and see them, a cluster of perfect dark shapes. They were the new constellations in your sky, the constellations of the watchers. They who watch had come, and the world held its breath. Their reports were cold and logical. They scanned your planet from high orbit. They mapped every city, every road, every mountain. They saw a world teeming with chaotic life. A primitive world, beautiful but deeply flawed. Their data streams described humanity as insignificant, a species at war with itself, a planet screaming with pointless transmissions. They logged your television shows as ritual madness, your traffic jams as failed hive behavior. To them, you were a case study, a biological curiosity in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Your art was random data. Your music was unstructured noise. Your love was a chemical imbalance. They cataloged your species for archival, a footnote in their grand star science. They deemed you unworthy of contact, a chaotic world best left to its own quiet decay, a civilization that would burn itself out. Yet their instruments found something strange, an energy field their sensors could not classify. It was a ghost in their machines. The anomaly was planetary in scale. It pulsed with a quiet, rhythmic energy. It did not match any known radiation. It did not bend space or time. It seemed to be connected to the biological life. To you, the field grew stronger over your cities. It was a web of unseen light. The lead analyst on the alien vessel dismissed it. He called it sensor noise from a primitive world, a byproduct of your crude technology. But the energy was too structured, too consistent. It pulsed with a life they could not measure, a silent, invisible presence that wrapped around your globe. They logged it as an anomaly, a puzzle to be solved later, an error to be ignored. It was their first mistake. You heard the call deep within your mind. It started as a faint whisper. You were walking to work or washing the dishes. Suddenly you felt a strange resonance. It was a single, pure note. A sound that wasn't a sound. It bloomed in the center of your consciousness. You paused, head tilted, trying to place it. It was familiar, like a half-remembered dream. You looked around and saw others, strangers on the street stopping in their tracks, Their faces held the same dazed expression. A shared silent question hung in the air. Did you hear that? The whisper was not in your ears. It was inside you. It was inside everyone. A single note, a perfect harmony. A vibration shared by all of humanity at once. The whisper did not fade. It grew stronger. It evolved from a single note into a gentle hum, a sound that resonated in your bones. Without thinking, you started to hum along. Your voice joined a chorus that was rising across the world. From the highest skyscrapers to the most remote villages, humanity was humming. It was an unconscious, instinctual act, a spontaneous symphony of souls. This was no song from your radios or your playlists. It was something new, something born in that very moment. It was the sound of your collective hope, the sound of your shared fear, your quiet joys and your silent sorrows. It was humanity's first true song to the stars, a chorus for the deep and listening void, a greeting to the silent watchers in your sky. On the bridge of the alien command ship, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across sterile white walls. The watchers scrambled, their calm shattered. The anomaly, the energy field they had dismissed, was surging. It was off the charts. It pulsed in time with the sound rising from the planet below. A sound their sensors now recognized as the source. The Elder Ones stormed onto the bridge. His movements were sharp, irritated. "Report," he commanded, his voice a low hiss. "The planetary bioenergy field is resonating. It is producing an organized, high-energy wave," the analyst said. The Elder looked at the screen. The waveform was beautiful. It was perfect, and it was impossible. The song was a variable that broke all their equations. It defied their star science. It defied their logic. The music deepened. It resonated in your bones, in the very marrow of your being. The simple hum evolved into a complex and beautiful harmony. You were no longer just a person in a crowd. You were a single voice in a global choir. You felt a connection so profound it brought tears to your eyes. A current of shared feeling flowed through you, a warmth you had never known. You were linked to 7 billion other souls. The barriers of language and culture dissolved. The old hatreds and divisions seemed petty. They were meaningless in the face of this beautiful sound. For the first time, you felt the true meaning of humanity. You were one mind, one heart, one voice. The power of that harmony was terrifying, and it was glorious. Their machines worked frantically. They tried to translate the sound rising from your world. Their universal decoders analyzed the frequencies. They searched for syntax, for language, for data. But there was none to be found. The song carried no information their computers could understand. It was not a message of mathematics or science. It was not a plea for help or a declaration of war. Their screens showed only gibberish. Their translators returned strings of nonsense. One junior technician suggested it might be a new form of data compression. He was promptly reassigned to waste disposal. This was not data. It was feeling. It was the pure, unfiltered essence of life. And their cold, logical machines had no way to process it. They could measure the storm, but they could not understand the rain. The Elder Ones watched the chaos on his bridge. He saw the surging energy readings. He felt the vibration of the song even through the ship's hull. His face was a mask of cold fury. This was not communication. This was an attack, a force of pure chaos. "It is a psychic plague," he declared to his bridge crew. His voice cut through the alarms. "A weaponized biological agent," he continued. "It bypasses technology. It attacks the mind directly." He saw fear in the eyes of his crew. He saw the logic of their world cracking. He argued for the only logical solution: the cleansing of your world. Such a chaotic, unpredictable force could not be allowed to exist. It could not be allowed to spread. He gave the order to prepare the world breakers. As their weapons charged, you felt a change in the song. The global harmony shifted its key. The gentle chorus became a powerful, defiant anthem. It was a conscious act now, a collective decision made in an instant by 7 billion minds. You felt the intention behind it. You were part of it. The song was no longer a greeting. It was a shield. Great, silent energies began to gather. They were drawn from the well of your shared will. You saw no light. You heard no sound beyond the music. But in orbit, the watchers saw it. A shimmering barrier of impossible energy was forming around your planet. It was woven from hope. It was forged from will. It was a shield made of your song. Their targeting systems flickered, then failed completely. On the bridge, the analyst stared at his console. He was a being of pure logic. His entire life was governed by data and equations. But the equations were failing. The data was impossible. His training told him to fear this illogical energy. His commander told him it was a plague. But he felt no fear. He felt no sickness. Instead, he felt a strange warmth spreading through his mind. A crack appeared in the rigid fortress of his logic. Through that crack, he felt the song's true nature. It was not an attack. It was an invitation, a plea to be understood. While his elder preached of cleansing and fire, this one curious mind leaned closer. He did not just analyze the data anymore. He closed his eyes, and for the first time, he truly listened. The song was a key. It unlocked a door in the minds of the watchers. As the analyst listened, visions flooded his consciousness. He saw a collage of your existence. He saw a mother holding her newborn child. He felt the fierce, illogical love. He saw a scientist staring at a screen, heard joy at a breakthrough. He saw a painter's hand, adding the final stroke to a masterpiece. He felt the pride and the passion. The song showed them everything. It showed them the quiet courage of a firefighter walking into flames, the selfless sacrifice of a soldier for a friend, the bitter sting of a final goodbye, the simple joy of a shared meal. They saw your art, your failures, your boundless capacity for love, and your devastating capacity for sorrow. They saw you, and they began to understand. The chorus reached a crescendo. The song of 7 billion souls peaked in a wave of impossible power. It did not just defend, it began to create. The collective will of your species focused into a single note, rippled outward. It touched the fabric of the void itself. The empty space around their silent fleet began to change. The fabric of reality wept with beautiful, impossible light. Small points of light, like fireflies, bloomed in the darkness. They coalesced into shimmering clouds of color. New nebulae were born in an instant. The stars themselves seemed to shift and realign. They formed new constellations, painting pictures of your visions in the sky. Your song was not just pushing back. It was rewriting the very laws of their star science. It was singing a new universe into existence. On the bridge, the Elder Ones stood frozen. He watched the impossible garden of light blooming outside his ship. He saw the visions playing in the minds of his crew. He felt the song not as a weapon, but as a truth his logic could not deny. He looked at his weapons console. The red lights of the charging world breakers blinked, awaiting his final command. He saw the analyst, eyes closed, a strange peace on his face. He saw the other crew members, their fear replaced by awe. The song of your world washed over him. It was a song of life, in all its messy, chaotic, beautiful glory. One by one, the red lights on the weapon console switched to green. The threat was over. He lowered his head, a gesture of respect. They came seeking primitive subjects. They found a power that could sing new stars into the sky. They found a new understanding.